evidence that Ontario's economy is getting hit hard by U.S. tariffs, and it will be felt for some time. And we're not only seeing it in terms of the deficit, we're seeing it in a number of other fronts as well. Let's have a look at these specific numbers. We've got a projection of $13.5 billion for a deficit this fiscal year. That's better than the $14.6 billion from the spring, and that forecasted deficit will be $7.8 billion in 26-27. However, the Ford government continues to say that it plans on balancing the budget by 27-28 with a surplus of just $0.2 billion. So, all in all, it's a weak forecast pointing to a number of things. That's the U.S. trade policy, the global economic outlook, inflation, interest rates, the real GDP growth, just 0.1%. The unemployment rate, this is not good for jobs, growing from 7% to 7.8% this year. Now, there was a $5 billion Protecting Ontario account announced as part of the budget last spring. There was $1 billion from that was actually allocated for the auto, steel, and aluminum sectors in response. The rest has yet to be allocated, and from that $1 billion, just $100 million to Algoma Steel. So not much of that has been handed out at this point. That's part of the update. Also, very little in terms of new investments beyond funds and the tax credits that we had previously heard about. Bethlyn Falvey did in fact call this an update, not a budget necessarily, although the province is adding to a fund that helps small and medium-sized businesses, that helps them diversify into new markets. Here's what the finance minister had to say about that specifically.
Money is flowing right now to keep our economic engine going. Flowing, for example, through our Ontario Together Trade Fund, which is currently leveraging $50 million in support for small and medium-sized businesses by enabling them to pivot production, build new sales relationships, and expand through greater interprovincial trade. And today, I am proud to share that to continue helping them diversify into new markets and boost their trade resiliency, our government is investing an additional $100 million into the fund for a grand total of $150 million.
That's new. Some of the other numbers that we saw today, not necessarily new. There was what we had heard about the primary care action plan. We also heard more about the Hospitals to Homes program. When it comes to infrastructure spending, yes, there's the $30 billion fund that's planned on being used. However, when you ask how much is being spent on the Bradford bypass or Highway 413 or that tunnel under the 401, there are no specific numbers attached to any of those projects.
And Mark, what about the HST rebate that some first-time homebuyers could be eligible for? What details do you have on that?
Yeah, it's something that we've heard about more than a few times leading up to this fall economic statement. Yes, there is going to be a rebate on the provincial portion of the HST for first-time home buyers on any properties up to $1 million. We had heard about that this week. A couple of days ago, we heard from the federal government as part of their budget that, in fact, the federal portion of that HST is also going to be offered up. So in conjunction, that's a lot of savings for first-time home buyers if, in fact, they're buying homes that are a little less expensive. When it comes to new home growth and projections, this is interesting as well, because we've talked about this a number of times. Only 64,000 new homes are expected to be built in Ontario this year. That's actually down from 74,600 in 2024. And it's still very short of the 1.5 million new homes that the Ford government has said it would be building by 2031. So, Not necessarily good numbers on the housing front, despite the idea that we're going to be getting some money for that HST for first-time home buyers. Another quick note for you as well, revenues from the LCBO have in fact dropped as well, whether that's because some alcohol is being made available in different stores, or whether it's alcohol consumption going down, or in fact U.S. alcohol being removed from shelves. But that revenue is also going down, and less money for the government as a result.